Currently, you couldn't breathe. You were being suffocated. You were sweating, your eyes shut closed, as you gasped for air, tears welling in your eyes. It's too tight. You're fine. You felt it yet again. Your mother yanked the straps ridiculously as you gasped. Mom, seriously, it's too tight. She shrugged as she turned around to face you so she could examine your features. The white innerwear you wore clenched your waist. It was much to her liking. She nodded. It was perfect. All right, I guess we'll have to settle this. Settle? What was she on about now? What was the point of wearing such a tight undergarment if you were going to wear a kimono over it anyways? Your disgrace seemed to leak onto your face, and your mother sensed it immediately. She gave you a look. You bit your lip, erasing your disgust and trying to keep a straight face. Listen to me, she began. You tried for a moment. I want you to behave yourself. You resisted the urge to roll your eyes at her. She felt you left for a second before coming back to fix your hair. She sighed, speaking in frustration. I understand what you don't understand. Oh, I don't understand what you don't understand. There's so many great guys out there, and you won't even give them a moment of your time. They don't deserve it. She chuckled at your statement, not taking this seriously at all. But don't you want to get married? She already knew that answer. No! Well, that's too bad. You frowned. Today was the festival. You had been looking forward to enjoying the village yearly activities, but your mother had arranged you to go on a date with a suitor behind your back, and it annoyed you. She still wouldn't tell you who it was, though. He'll be here soon. Who? She gave a mischievous smile, and your eyes widened. She wouldn't dare. Don't tell me it's Ren. She burst out into laughing. Of course not. I'm not that stupid. You immediately relaxed. Good. Anyone but that man. Anyway, he'll be coming soon. Who? Your suitor. Which is? Your suitor, she repeated, determined not to reveal his identity. You'll be spending your time with him. But I want to enjoy the shh. Is that why I'm dressed like this? She nodded. It has to be proper. Does proper mean not being able to breathe? She nodded, and you sighed depressingly. She spoke. Despite what you think, there's a lot of interest surrounding you. You looked at her bewildered. What was she talking about? There is? Of course there is. You are the favorite of the village. Your eyebrows furrowed. You hadn't known that. She continued, which is even more of a reason that you should get married now. You frowned, sighing to yourself. There was no point in arguing. She had already made her decision. You ended up with the richest man in town. Your mother was one of a kind. The lanterns that lit the area were grand and bright. The area was loud and filled with chatter. You walked silently beside your suitor, but he hasn't said anything much. In fact, he hadn't said much of anything in your time together. didn't take you long to realize he was using you as an accessory. Instead of fighting back, you decided to go along with it. Your night had already been ruined. You didn't want to make it worse by causing a commotion. You didn't know what your mother was thinking when she had okayed this. And you couldn't deny that you had raved to your mother about wanting to live a comfortable lifestyle, but this was not what you meant. You were not an object. You watched as another man, noticeably also rich, seemed to come up and speak with him. He didn't even seem to acknowledge your presence, looking right past you to the suitor who stood to your left. You suppressed a sigh, and a fake smile settled on your face. In a way, you felt like you weren't even here right now. You were simply floating through the moment, despite the crowd around you, the loud commotion, the children running, and the smell of food. You weren't even here. Your idea was confronted when you saw yet another man walk up to your suitor, ignoring you completely. It only strengthened your thought. There were shackles being placed on you. You were invisible. You were wrong, though. To others, you were very visible. Too visible. Other men, although less wealthy, had their eyes on you. They were aware of your presence, and they couldn't help but glare in your direction. Some stares were less intense than others, but you stuck out amongst the crowd for your beauty, and you were oblivious to that fact. One stare in particular was strongest than the rest. It was Ren. He stood by one of the shops, watching you from afar. His buddies were having drinks, sitting around each other with red faces and bottles of empty booze. "Hey, Ren," one of them spoke, the slur in his words apparent. "Why don't you sit down and drink with us?" Ren shook his head, only keeping his eyes on the woman in the distance. His heart was on fire. It wasn't burning with love, but with jealousy as he watched you walk alongside another man with a smile on your face. Were you enjoying his company? Why were you with him? He needed answers, but he was so far away to retrieve them. You look stunning. Everyone in the village knew of your beauty, everyone except you. And now you were being swept up by some rich man before he even had gotten the chance to fight. That wouldn't do. He couldn't accept it. Although he had never said it, he has always had an interest in you. There was something about you that was attractive to him. He decided he'd begin his pursuit for you. He was going to make you his, when suddenly he watched you as you drew away. You waited for the right moment and slipped away from your suitor and began walking throughout the crowd. Ren tried to keep his eye on you, but eventually you got lost among them. You ran. You ran far and far. Your presence was at its patience was at its limits. Never before had you felt so retracted in your own body. You ran for what felt like forever until you made it to the hillside. You stopped, gasping for air, before taking a deep breath out. You wanted to dismount all the frustrations inside you, but you didn't. You didn't know how to. You felt defeated. Has the auction begun? Your eyes widened. That voice. You recognized it at once. You smiled, a sense of comfort entering you. You turned around to face him, smiling upon being in his presence. He was there. Kokushibo looked down at you, awaiting your words. It seems it has.